Ministry of Health says the spread of Zika virus under control. Child Fund Caribbean donates supplies to government departments, and Office of Disaster Management plans week of activities. Thank you for joining us on another edition of National Focus. I'm Shaakira Pierre.
And I'm Mervin. Stay with us for details of the headline stories after this.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. Got it? Taking care of us can be so easy.
Take good care of the children.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Johnson says every aspect relating to the spread of Zika virus is under control. He was speaking at a National Emergency Planning Organization meeting on Friday. Dr. Johnson stated that special care is being given to infected pregnant women.
We have identified among them 2 cases of persons who are pregnant, and those are the greatest concern to us because those are the persons whom we are monitoring. We have a complete team of medical personnel specialists who are monitoring these individuals to ensure that they providing, I should add, psychosocial support to the individuals and doing all of the necessary investigation and monitoring by our expert. To date, we have not identified any complications in terms of the pregnancies. It's not a one-to-one ratio that if you have Zika virus and you're pregnant, that your baby will born with any sort of malformation, that is malformation of the head, small brain, which is referred to as microcephaly.
He says the main focus of the Ministry of Health is source reduction of the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes.
As most of you are aware that there was a national cleanup campaign. That was a cabinet decision in which there was a complete national cleanup campaign looking at reducing the white goods and all of the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes in Dominica. That effort is continuing. Our main focus at this time is basically the source reduction of the breeding sites of mosquitoes. As all of us know, or most of us know, that Aedes aegypti mosquitoes breathe in a lot of receptacles, including tires, vases, and anything that contains stagnant water. And the main drive of the Ministry of Health is focusing on where we have high indices of mosquitoes. We have identified those areas based on the mapping that we have, and our environmental health personnel together for VectorCon personnel have intensified the campaign and the action on the ground in terms of reducing the breeding size of mosquito.
Dr. Johnson had these words for the general public.
We encourage persons to do a number of things. One, you need to protect yourself against the bite of mosquitoes. And therefore, emphasis is in ensuring and giving the message to our pregnant ladies and persons to ensure that they sleep on the net, they use long clothing as far as possible, particularly when they're moving out from their homes, right, and to use repellents as often as possible, because you just never know. Unlike chikungunya, where persons who get chikungunya will have severe joint pains and you present signs and symptoms, persons with Zika virus will not present these signs or symptoms.
The Ministry of Health continues to fog the areas with a high concentration of Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. Dr. Johnson says to date there have been no Zika-related deaths.
After Dominica was badly hit by Tropical Storm Erica, Child Fund International played its part by assisting victims affected by the storm. On the heels of another hurricane season, they have decided once again to give generously to 3 government departments. On Monday, at the handing over ceremony at the Office of Disaster Management in Jimmet, a presentation was made to the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and the local government department. Jelena Fontaine is officer in charge of Child Fund Caribbean.
Child Fund, as you know, has been here, and although we are phasing out, many of us, our beneficiaries, our stakeholders, were affected by Tropical Storm Erica last year in late August. And since then, we have been doing a lot to respond to the negative effects of Tropical Storm Erica and to assist as well with recovery and response efforts. We've been supporting with more than $150 US. We helped with food or the necessary health and household supplies like clothing, soft therapeutic toys for traumatized children. We assisted with psychosocial support to affected children and families. And now we have water purification sachets from Procter & Gamble with the water pills along with it. We'll be supporting with some first aid kits, water bottles for school children, solar-powered lanterns that have multiple capacities, and portable chargers, and some other items.
Honorable Minister for Health, Dr. Kenneth Darrow, is grateful for the items and says it will go a long way.
It's always a pleasure when civil society and other partners can partner with the government of any country, especially in times of disasters. And as you rightly said, Ms. Fontaine, there were many lessons learned from America, and we hope that these contributions, no matter how small they are, okay, they will go a long way in responding to disasters.
24 first aid kits and 250 water bottles were presented to the Ministry of Education. 100 solar power lanterns, 45 solar chargers, 40 emergency radios and 24 first aid kits to the local government department, and over 4,000 boxes of water purification sachets, along with over 700 5-gallon pails to the Ministry of Health. Fontaine says in order to effectively carry out duties during an emergency, money has been allocated for training sessions.
Some of these funds we're also going to use it to train, to have 2 major trainings we have left remaining till the end of June. We're going to help train shelter managers in child protection in emergency settings. So how they stay focused with everything going on the needs and the rights of children during an emergency and after an emergency. So we're going to do that with the shelter managers and others who want to join. And late in June, about 28 to 30 of us, a mix between staff and community persons, are going to be trained in the CERT, where we can get certified for rescue and response efforts and so on during and post an emergency.
GIS's Shaakira Pierre had the opportunity to sit with the officer in charge of Child Fund Caribbean, Jelena Fontaine, to discuss some of the Child Fund's achievements over the years.
We are here with Ms. Jelena Fontaine, officer in charge of Child Fund Caribbean, and this morning we witnessed that Child Fund made a donation to the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and the local government department. Child Fund has been in Dominica for a number of years now and has done a lot. I'm sure, Ms. Fontaine, that there are major achievements that Child Fund has done over the past years. Can you give us some information about this?
What makes me sad sometimes is there have been so much achievements at an individual, personal level, like our beneficiaries experienced, and then high impact type of achievements that I can hardly start counting, you know, because we've been here for about 3 decades. We came in for the social center in 1985, and so last year it was like our 30th anniversary, and we are phasing out by the end of August. But during these last 3 decades, the bulk of our work in the beginning was a lot around children's health. So we helped to raise the immunization rate of children past the 90th percentile, which is very good. And we helped establish a lot and train a lot of preschool centers, daycare centers, early childhood development centers on the island. And as you know too, we also have been the main implementers of the Roving Caregivers program for about 10 to 11 years now since their inception. And so we've done a heavy amount of work, the bulk of our work on early childhood development, which is critical for any country who wants to be high up in terms of the economy.
After doing so much, you know, it's very sad to see that Child Fund has to leave, and I think it should not stop here, it should not end here, and we hope that it will also continue. The work that Child Fund is doing should continue in Dominica. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. Last night when I was preparing for my speech for the ceremony this afternoon, the finance manager sent me some figures where even between 1997 and now, Child Fund has invested close to $67 million EC in the country. That's not even for the whole length of time we were there. And I was saying, look at that. Most of that aid was from people outside of Dominica, outside of St. Vincent. But if they made that effort, just one person sending a little bit different places, maybe our local Caribbean people can do that. You know, each of them, just like you take furniture at courts, you just put a percentage of your income aside to support work for children.
Ecologist Ivan Timilis believes there is room for Dominica to become a hub for environmental scientific research. Timilis, who is a professor of biology and environmental studies at the Amherst College in the United States, was speaking at a lecture for forestry, wildlife and parks officials on hummingbirds and heliconias.
I think Dominica is probably, it really can serve as a teaching island for the rest of the world in terms of looking at the biodiversity and thinking a little bit about how you preserve that. It's surprising how little we know about the world. We only know the biology about 10% of the species on the planet. So I've studied one of the Dominican hummingbirds. There are 3 other species that haven't been studied intensively. Then you have all these insects and plants here that people probably haven't looked at all and know nothing about. And so I think that that is really one of the benefits of Dominica, which is still having these species to study, whereas in many places in the world you can't find them anymore. Dominica is the most wonderful country on the planet. I will just say to you, when you come here and you see the beauty of it, you have to go elsewhere and realize what happens elsewhere, and then it makes you appreciate what Dominica has.
He believes sharing his work with the division will serve to increase their scientific knowledge.
What I'm doing, I'm an old man now. I'm about 60 years old at this point, and I like sharing my work with forestry because I think it gives people an idea of what we're doing. What are the questions? How would you study them? I think the value on what I hope to do in the lecture was just sort of ask the questions and then indicate how we would study them. And I'm very happy to have people come out and look and see what we do, because I think that it always involves people teaching and sort of educating others about, okay, this is what I did, now I'm going to be 70 years old, I can't do it anymore, so somebody else is going to have to do it. And that's my job. That's what I do.
The Office of Disaster Management has planned a week of activities dubbed Hurricane Preparedness Week. The activities span from May 29 to June 4, 2016. GIS News spoke with Acting National Disaster Coordinator Fitzroy Pascal.
We have engaged various media houses, and we also have an exhibition at the ground floor of the ministry, again to create public awareness to the public.
Pascal revealed that several activities in disaster preparedness are kept in communities. He is, however, disappointed with the number of people attending these activities.
We are guided by a national disaster plan with strategies, and one of them are to inform and educate the populace and also relevant stakeholders, especially emergency services. We also provide resources, and we also provide training. Over the past 5 months, we have been doing training in shelter management and initial damage assessment around the island. Up to last night, we went to one community. However, we have been experiencing poor turnout in most of these communities. Again, disaster management does not lie on NIPO or the Office of Disaster Management. It is everyone's business.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I had a bleeding disorder that I did not know about, and they had to be transfusing me continuously. I got 56 units.
Being there at the blood bank, I was like, yo, I'm actually saving someone's life.
You never know when you can go.
Give blood. I have done it, and believe it or not, it don't hurt.
I won't be scared. I'll give. You know you're gonna give blood. I'll make sure she does.
Sit down at the blood bank in a comfortable environment for 45 minutes.
Helping people.
You are stimulating your body to make brand new cells.
You get free cookies, you get juice.
Glad to know your blood group. Feels good.
I felt as a better person.
It's a good thing to be alive, and I can thank God that I'm there and I'm enjoying life.
Acting Education Officer Claudia Robinson recommends that parents allow students breathing space this week ahead of the Grade 6 National Assessment. 1,086 students will take the annual test on Thursday, May 26 and Friday, May 27, 2016. This year, 549 boys will sit the exam, 23 more than last year. 537 girls will also sit the exam as compared to last year's 542. Acting Education Officer for Curriculum Measurement and Evaluation cautioned the parents whose children will be sitting the exams this week.
One of the things that happens is that the students are put under so much pressure that parents at the end of the day, when they get the results, they say, well, you know, they expected their child to have performed better, but a lot of times because the child has been put under a lot of pressure, very nervous during the day, so we are advising parents to give it a rest. What they know already, and especially during the time of exams, that you do not stay at the center. You drop off your child and you leave. Do not linger, because that just keeps them, give them more thing, and then you come and you pick them up at 1.
The Ministry of Education reports a 3% increase in the number of students registered to sit the exam this year.
The year before it was 1,070 something, so it was a decrease, I think, from 2014 to 2015, and then there's an increase. It's a normal, you know, thing. Sometimes you have children migrating that may cause it to go down, because we have had a few who schools calling said they were migrating. So it's a year-to-year thing where, for example, Thibault does not even have, they don't have students this year in grade 6. So it fluctuates.
Robinson wants students to be relaxed during the exams, since this will allow them to perform better. On day 1, students will be tested on language arts and social studies, while on day 2, mathematics and science will be administered. All exams will be single multiple choice papers except language arts. This will consist of 2 components, a 60-item multiple choice paper and a composition paper. The examinations are scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. with an assembly at 7:45 a.m. at 50 free centers around the island.
Ecologist Ifan Timilis, who is a professor of biology and environmental studies at the Amherst College in the United States, says the possibility of finding new species of insects and marine life in Dominica is very high.
There are people who have come to Dominica. I remember there was one woman, Leslie Bishop, who was working up at Papelote, and she's a spider expert. And she discovered a species of tree tarantula, a spider, you know, big spider. I suspect if you came here and you had people who were going out in the coral reefs as well as in the forest looking at insects, I wouldn't be surprised if they found a new species or 2. Birds, we know more about bird and mammal species than anything all over the world, mainly because we're mammals, so we're interested in mammals, and then when it comes to birds, they're so visible. And I would say pretty much by the 1850s, people knew how many birds and mammals were on the planet. We still occasionally find a new one, but not that many. When it comes to insects and plants, however, there could be tons of species out there because most people don't study an insect, for example, and so I suspect Dominica has new species that haven't been described.
He was speaking at a lecture for forestry, wildlife and parks officials on hummingbirds and heliconias held Friday, May 20th. And that's news. McPherson St.Luce is up next with the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non moins, c'est McPherson St.Luce. Premièrement, officier Dominique qui est spécialisé en Cuba, retourné Dominique qui a fait une contribution pour le développement pays là. Parole ça là sorti du ministère santé Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, un graduate cubain. Plaisir d'autres en Cuba à présent qui spécialisé en divers sujets.
Et bien, comme on a parlé, nous avons des 3 spécialistes, ça c'est mon Dominique même, qui vit Cuba Specialized. Et bien, des dias j'avais eu mon interniste, après plus que 3-4 dias j'avais eu orthopedic surgeon, ça c'est docteur qui spécialise en bitenzo, c'est bitenzo là. Et bien, comme on a parlé, nous avons presque 10 d'autres cas spécialisés en pédiatrique, ça c'est médecine pour les enfants, et bien, nephrology, urology, intensive care, et tout ces bitenzo là. Donc là, l'hôpital neuf là, nous pas seulement un structure neuf avec equipment neuf, nous aussi tout cadre personnel qui nous travaille pour travailler à l'hôpital ça presque dire c'est que Dominicien qui j'avais étudié. So ça c'est une autre manière nous savons que nous équipement médical mission qui va venir là tous les années il y a différents docteurs, nurses, technicians, medical technicians pour aider nous dans le health sector.
Cubans qui travaillent en divers secteurs en Dominique à présent. Cuba aussi déjà assisté Dominicains taper traitement médical en Cuba.
Alors, il y a l'hôpital PMH, l'autre set il y a à Portsmouth, de temps en temps, au le district là. Il y a aidé nous aussi, espérant des spécialistes que nous pouvons nous avons changé de 3 années, nous avons un Miracle Eye Program. Là, Sunday, nous sans investir dans les aller en Cuba pour faire opération en Asie pour bagarre cataracte et pterygium c'est ça là ça c'est une opération très simple pour l'opération mais c'est l'opération qui cause l'argent ici à partir de c'était malheureux qui passe à $4,000 là qui était besoin pour faire par surgery ça là ici nous ça parle comme de whole journée et whole soirée pour contribution qui va faire.
La nouvelle organisation Child Fund Caribbean fait présentation bagay ba 3 départements bagay qui assisté département ayo qui contient des as ça ou emergency supplies ministre éducation santé et puis gouvernement local tout bénéficié. Présentation pour te distribuer ces bagages ça la pour place en l'office des as en Jimet Jodia. Mademoiselle Gilina Fontaine, c'est officier en charge Child Fund Caribbean.
Child Fund mène bagaille pour emergencies pour Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, et local government. Nous menons bagaille comme first aid kits pour l'école, pour shelters, emergency shelters. Nous menons bagaille comme solar powered lanterns pour mon lumière à Cayo, à Saint-Ayo pendant emergencies. Bagay kon bouteille pour les femmes mettre gloyo pour aller à l'école, fait que ça yo vle faire. Ça yo ka on poudre yo ka mettre en dans glo pour y faire glo à net pour boire. Il ka purifier glo Howard Procter & Gamble nous taper ça. Child Fund fait ça fait pour nous taper ça si quelque chose fait glo quoi nous ni pour ni glo qui sale ça nettoyer pour nous boire. Nous avons aussi ces pills là, ces buckets là pour mettre glow pour purifier water glow et bagaille comme ça. Sur le power charger pour charge cell phone et laptop c'est bagaille comme ça. Radio pour écouter news là, nouvelles là, ça qu'a fait, c'est bagaille comme ça.
Organisation là bien plein pour faire ces donations ça là.
Il y a un travail pour mener ces BT ça là dedans, pour faire Child Fund, taper l'argent là pour nous ça mener ces BT ça là, BT moun yo besoin qu'on first aid kit là les moun taper un malade ou yo injured quoi during emergencies right ou besoin ces bagages là à moment là pour faire ça on pour faire pour aider moun là OK so nous bien contents nous ça fait ça comme si nous ka quitter comme si organisation ka les fermer à out.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson St.Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, tips for succeeding on the day of the exam.
To succeed at your exams, wake up early so that you do not need to rush through having breakfast and getting ready. Check the venue and time of the exam to make sure that you have not confused the day or time or venue.
Have a balanced breakfast and eat nothing risky. Bananas are always a good option. Before leaving home, check that you have everything that you will need. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm.
Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here in the news production team, I'm Mervin Matthew.
And I'm Shaakira Pierre. Thanks for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.